Some stories don't need amazing animation. Some stories are mainly about people talking. So why blow a massive budget on something that can be done simply and still serve the story just as well? But on the other hand, the animation arguably is the entire reason for watching it. Why wouldn't you just read the source material then, if the animation isn't really that important to you? Why bother watch it? These two points of view have been prevalent forever in anime, or, at least as long as I've been around watching it. In the past, the argument made more sense, because the quality of the animation wasn't as high as it is today. The problem is that people expect insanely high production values and stylized animation, so when something comes out that has a serviceable level of animation and choreographed fights, for example, people tear it down for the simple fact that it isn't groundbreaking. I get that fans want their favorite series to get the best possible treatment. Maybe they see recent shows like Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man and wonder why their favorite anime isn't getting the same level of animation. But in reality, most anime doesn't need god tier animation to be enjoyable. Some people watch anime just because they don't have to read the manga. They just sit back and enjoy the voice acting and visual storytelling that the anime medium provides. Take away the house husband, for example. It's a gag anime, and in my opinion, it's hilarious. The voice acting enhances its humor, in my personal opinion, making the intimidating former Yakuza boss even more intimidating, thus making the situations he's in far funnier when he's doing something mundane. Like, the animation is, well, it's essentially an animatic, but that doesn't hurt the pacing or the comedic timing. I believe it actually helps. Yet, when it aired, people complained that it wasn't animated well enough, which is a weird argument to make because, well, the manga isn't animated at all. Some people clearly wanted a different experience from the adaptation that was received, and that's totally valid. But for me, the anime style elevated all the jokes and made the characters more enjoyable through its animation, sound design, and voice acting. And it made me think, why do people hated it? Why did a small vocal minority hate the animation? And I think it just comes down to expectation, right? Need versus desire. Casual anime watchers just want something to relax with. They throw on an anime while they're eating, or maybe scrolling their phone, or unwinding after a long day at work. For them, the animation quality isn't a deal breaker. Manga readers, on the other hand, want a fresh experience. They already know the story and everything that happens, so they want the adaptation to offer something unique and new to them, whether it's enhanced animation, voice acting, or direction. When an anime doesn't meet those expectations, well, they feel disappointed, which is, I suppose, to a degree, it's understandable. And that brings us to a modern example of this happening again. It brings us to Sakamoto Days. An unbelievably popular manga. When the anime was announced, expectations were through the goddamn roof. The manga was incredibly well choreographed with fight scenes, and fans wanted the same level of energy translated into the anime. And from what I can assume are the manga readers' responses, we can see that they kind of expected something crazy. It seems like some expected like 90 frames per second ultra draw dropping animation when the anime aired. Manga readers were disappointed, obviously. Very clearly they were, calling it a glorified animatic or a PowerPoint presentation. They're just two comments I saw. Personally, I think the animation is perfectly fine. It's actually pretty friggin' damn good. The fight scenes are hilarious and creative, featuring an absurd roster of weapon choices. For example, these two twins come along and they're a pretty big deal. They're wiping the floor with some people, and then Sakamoto fucking knocks one out with a pot. Out of nowhere. It's hilarious. I totally get why manga fans are so passionate about the series and the fights in it, because, well, to be honest, they're so unique and refreshing. The action really does stand out from like traditional shonen animation because, well, everything is just, as I said, just so creative. So if I'm really enjoying it, why are so many people complaining about it? It's not quite the same argument as before. Sakamoto Days exists in a gray area, where the animation is important, but at the same time, the humor and creativity in the fights carries a lot of that experience. And an example of balanced animation equality that has happened recently is in Apothecary Diaries. Although the animation in that show isn't unbelievable, the art and design is. For scenes to look so pretty, they need to budget the animation and the cost of what it takes to make an episode. So that's why at times we see stuff like flashbacks where they reuse footage, or when she's taking care of the cat in the most recent season and it's just a clip art of what she did. It's serviceable because we don't need to see the cat taking a dump. We don't need to see the cat eating chicken. But because they make that sacrifice, they're able to make everything that is important look great. And no one complained about that. In contrast, Sakamoto Days is getting heavy criticism, which raises the questions: are people's expectations just unbelievably unrealistic? The standard of animation quality skyrocketed in like the past maybe 3 years, especially for shonen anime, where fight scenes are the main draw. They are incredibly popular and have way more funding than things like Sakamoto Days. Shonen, for example, is a medium that needs to have good fight scenes because shonen anime, the narrative is literally driven by the fights. That's literally the entire point of the medium. And at the same time, Japan is cracking down on like exploitive work conditions in the anime industry right now. They're going pretty hard at it, if you didn't know. Shows like Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 had incredible animation, but at what cost? The production was a nightmare for the animators and other people working on it. Expecting a show that is maybe going to treat its workers a little better than MAPPA did is incredibly unfair and just impossible. At the end of the day, most of these complaints come from a place of passion. Fans love their favorite manga and want to see it adapted as flawlessly as possible. But anime isn't just for manga readers. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's for a broader audience. As long as the adaptation stays faithful to the story and delivers a similar experience, does that really matter if the animation isn't perfect? This isn't about gatekeeping or protecting an IP from outside influences. Trust me, I understand because, I have that type of attachment to, Warhammer 40,000. I will gatekeep that to the end of time. I've read many series in the Warhammer 40k genre, including the entire Horus Heresy and the entire Siege of Terra and the entirety of The Beast Arises, the entirety of Black Crusade, the entirety of, what's it called? The new one, the one with Gilliman. Well, I can't remember the book series. Plague Wars? That's one of the books. But yeah. But when I heard about the Henry Cavill show having issues in production because of creative differences, which means Amazon wanted to, get their little grubby hands in an IP that has been very loyal and consistent for like fucking 80 years, I was immediately wary of, Amazon meddling with the lore. But Sakamoto Days isn't fundamentally being rewritten like that scenario, or even, for that matter, fundamentally changed in any capacity. It's still the same story, it's just adapted into a different medium. Maybe not to the quality that you want, but you have to understand that making anime is a completely different circumstance than like drawing a manga. Sure, it might not be the perfect experience for manga readers, but do they even have the right to demand something like that? Anime is complex, and it's a collaborative effort that requires significantly more time and money and labor than producing a manga does. It's also made for a much broader audience, including people who may not have read the source material. As a matter of fact, they most likely haven't. If the adaptation stays faithful and effectively conveys the same story, then isn't that enough? Rather than fixating on like these impossible standards, maybe we should focus on whether it brings the story to life in a meaningful way to that new audience faithfully. I personally think so, like especially when we look at how anime-only watchers are just almost objectively loving the show. People like me only stand to lose love or enjoyment from the show because of reactions like this. And I, for one, just don't think that's fair. Surely you want the mangaka to get his due. This anime is going to push more people to the manga. It's actively granting success to the individual who created a work of art that you love passionately, apparently. And as long as he is happy with it, then so should you. let me know what you think below. It's a fairly divisive topic, and I fully understand that. I definitely have done the same thing for anime I love. For example, the animation for Stone Ocean, didn't love that. Didn't love Stone Ocean, but to be honest, Stone Ocean is one of the weakest arc in JoJo, in my opinion. Not as bad as Part 3, though. Part 3 sucked. But I would be really interested in the group of people that are going to watch this video and how they feel on the matter. Because I feel like we've got a good mix of manga readers and, you know, just pure anime enjoyers. I know people who have subscribed that only watch dubbed anime. Like only dub. They refuse to touch sub. What do you think of that? But yeah, let's sort this out in the comments and see what the story is. Also, if you want to support me, the only way and the best way you can do it is just by subscribing. If I hit 1K subscribers, I get monetized. That's epic. Thanks for watching.